Coming up tonight, she came real close to taking her life and that of her daughter. Caught in the face of depression, she hid from the world but struggled to survive. But in a do-or-die moment, a smart decision to get help was the first step to her transformation. Tonight, her candid story and the realities from the expert that more and more Bahamians are in trouble. Beyond the Headlines starts now. More and more Bahamians are being affected by depression and have experienced suicidal thoughts. Tonight, one woman is coming forward and sharing how she's dealing with the symptoms rather than taking the easy way out. Good evening, everyone. I'm Clint Watson, and welcome to our show tonight. Well, it's something Bahamians are afraid, and I dare say even embarrassed to talk about. So many people feeling depressed, but are ignoring the need for help. Further, the depression can even lead to suicidal thoughts, yet so many people are afraid to step forward to get that help that's so badly needed. My guest tonight, she went through the same range of emotions, but instead of allowing her embarrassment to keep her imprisoned, she reached out and got some needed help. Please welcome my guest tonight, Aisha Clare, and of course, Dr. Sean Knowles from Sandilands Rehabilitation Center. Both of you, thank you for coming on the show and being here tonight.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
I thought it was remarkable. As a matter of fact, I saw the story. You wrote it on Facebook, and it caught my attention. I saw everybody referring to the post, and people were commenting on the post. And I said, "Wow, what heroism, really, to be able to share and talk." And as you shared, and I read through it, just seeing the amount of people that were impacted by it. It blew my mind. I said, okay, obviously this is something that so many Bahamians are dealing with and not sharing. Go ahead for the sake of our audience and give us a little background as to what brought you to this point.
Before I shared the post, I was dealing with depression for a while, and I wasn't dealing with it. I was dealing with it, but I wasn't dealing with it. So some days would be good, and then some days it would be not so good. But when the days got better, it was like, you don't have to deal with it anymore. You're good, you know? And so for years and years and years, it was like I was sweeping it under the rug and not dealing with the specifics of what was going on. I was molested at 7 and raped at 14. Those things in particular were some things I needed to deal with. I mean, I had some counseling, but it wasn't something that I felt that I got the help I needed for. So I kept sweeping it under the rug over and over again until I realized I couldn't do it anymore. It was like the rug was removed and I could not like hold anything. It was like I was falling and there was nothing to hold to get me up. And I knew I had a problem. I knew like I needed help, but I didn't know what to do. And I attempted, like I tried. I tried, but I failed. And I was like, you need to get help. I would look into my daughter's face and I would be like, you know, you have to live for her as a single parent. You have to live for her. Like, if you go, then what happens to her? And then it was like, you need to get help, but how do you do it? And I didn't have insurance or anything. So I was like, okay, you can't go private. So what's the other route? And one night it got so bad. It was really bad. I remember I was not sleeping at all for like months. If I got 2 hours, it was good. And I was still working. So I would be broken up physically, emotionally, not knowing what's going on, just going through the motion pretty much. And that night I was like, I can't do it anymore. Either I'm gonna do it tonight or I'm gonna get help. And there was someone who I knew, and I reached out, just typing, I reached out to her on Facebook, social media, and she called me right away. And she was like, where are you? And what's going on? And all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I didn't want to say, because I was between, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Or are you going to not do it? Are you going to listen to her? Or are you going to do what you had planned to do? And she talked and talked, and I cried and I cried and I cried, and I was like, I cannot pull it together. And she's like, what's going on? Could you explain what's going on? And I'm like, I really can't. There's so many things. I can't specifically say what it is that has me in this place. It was so dark. The place was so dark. I didn't know myself. And I'm usually one who keeps it together. When you see me, you know I have it together, because that's what I have been trained to do. I know how to go out there and you may have something going on, but you pull it together enough so that no one knows.
And this is what I think is so important because people say, "Oh, well, she looks like she has it all together." People feel as if you look physically like you have it all together, it must be going on. And you're one, like you said, you're involved in the arts. You're involved as an educator. You have what people look at and say, "Oh, she's a great life. Things are going great for her. She's stylish. She's this, she's that." And yet you were dealing with all of this, and people couldn't see it.
I was dying, literally dying inside. Like literally, I looked in the mirror one day, and my best friend was like, "You look so different." It was horrible. And I'm like, I never saw it. She always said, "What's going on? Like you look like you're tired." And I looked in the mirror and I did not know who I was. And at that point I was like, you need to do something. You need to do something. Either this is gonna take you or are you gonna get some help and you're gonna triumph over this. And that night when I dealt with when I talked to the person on the phone, she encouraged me to go to PMH. And I was like, PMH, no. I don't know. In all of my distress, I'm like, no. So she was like, are you going to allow the stigma of whatever it is, PMH or the public hospital, whatever it is, to stop you from getting the help you need? And I thought about it and I was like, girl, you need help. So it doesn't matter where it is. If they tell you go in the back of the bush, you do that. And I went the following day. I just got up and I left. It wasn't like I thought about it like, you're going to do it. I just got up. I don't even know if I combed my hair. I didn't even know if I had my weave on. But I got up and I went. And when I got there, there was a line at the registration. I haven't been to PMH forever. And there was a line and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know, what do you do? So I got to the front and the nurse said, how could we assist you? And I was like, I think I'm suicidal. I feel like I am going to do something to myself. So she looked and she was like, okay, just go to the registration part. It was like on the next side. And she said, come right back. And she said, you are coming back, right? And I was like, yes, ma'am, I'm coming back. So as soon as I got back, she took me directly to the back. And I was shocked because I'm like, this process is like moving. I didn't expect it to move so quickly. Got in the back and it was like, I thought PMH would be what everybody says it is. Like, you always have these problems at PMH and this is happening and that. I think they took the utmost care of me. I don't know if it was favor, but I believe that those nurses and doctors and all of those people in the back, like, they had the heart of God. That's all I can say, because they were so concerned. There was this lady who was taking my pressure and she was like, whatever you're going through, like, don't let it overcome you. I've been here before. And I overcame, so don't let it take you down. She said, whatever it is, give it to God and all that kind of stuff. And I'm here and the tears are just streaming. I don't know what to say. I'm not saying anything. Mm-hmm. And she's like, it's okay. And so from this place to the next place to taking blood, because they checked my physical body as well. Mm-hmm. They took blood and they checked my pressure and all those things. I took tests to go to the back and everything to make sure my physical person was okay as well. Mm-hmm. And the process, even though it was long, they were caring and concerned. And it made me feel something, because at that time I was numb. Like I could feel tears, I could feel darkness, but I couldn't feel. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I couldn't feel if it was good or bad, but I felt that. I felt the care and concern that they gave me that day. And I really appreciate it.
Wow. It's amazing to see that the process of what you go through, to be able to identify that, yeah, I got a problem. A lot of people don't go through that. When we come back, I want to bring in Dr. Knowles and talk about that encounter, what that was like, and really the reality of what she just talked about is what so many people are going through, but they feel as if, oh, it's just a bad season I'm going through my life, and they ignore it. And that's where I think the problem escalates, by ignoring it. We're going to talk more about that. You're watching Beyond the Headlines. We're back after this. Stay close.
They say time flies when you're having fun, but can you believe it's been 1 year since Eyewitness News made its debut? We're the new news standard, and to show our appreciation for your support, we're having a week-long celebration. We'll highlight some of the best moments in news since 2018. We take the fun to the streets of the capital on Saturday at 11 a.m. with an exciting float parade. Come out to see the country's top news reporters as we spread the love. And then join us at R.M. Bailey Park, where the float parade will culminate at 2 p.m. There will be 20 exciting pop-up vendors for you to enjoy sweet treats and so much more. And then on Sunday, we invite you to celebrate with us at our anniversary church service to be held at Trinity Assembly City of Praise. It's our 1-year anniversary, and we want you to celebrate with us.
Hello, I'm Gershon Major, CEO of the Bahamas Gaming Operators Association. Are you or a loved one suffering from a gambling addiction? Do you find yourself more often than not having to choose between your daily expenses and this form of entertainment? If you've answered yes to these questions, we are here to help. At the BGOA, our doors are always open. There are several mechanisms in place to protect you as a player as part of our industry's responsible gaming program. If you find yourself or someone you know slipping through the cracks, please come in and visit us at number 41 Top of the Hill Mackey Street for an assessment, immediate assistance, or professional intervention at no cost to you. Remember, it's only a game, so please do so responsibly. For more information, please contact us at 603-2083. Visit our website at bgoabahamas.com or call our hotline at 808-9509.
Welcome back. My guests tonight, Aisha Clare and Dr. Sean Knowles from Soundlands Rehabilitation Center. Aisha, before the break, was sharing with us her story of depression and feeling suicidal and having to try and keep it together and do all that she does, but yet knowing something was wrong. Until one day she just reached out and her friend told her, you got to go get help. And she went to PMH, went through the process to get help. How did you get in connection with Dr. Knowles?
Well, Dr. Knowles was the psychiatrist on call that day, and the wait was crazy, right? And I'm like, I am just here to see this doctor. Like, I really want to see this doctor and go home because I don't want to be, because I was in the emergency room. And he came out and he tapped me on the shoulder. I don't know if you remember that. And he was like, you're going to be okay. And that was another thing. I was like, okay, people care. You know, they see you.
Wow.
Like, I'm not invisible anymore. Someone cares. And that's how I met him at PMH.
Dr. Knowles, I mean, obviously, you've been on this before talking about this, and so it's so good to see the action part of it and hear somebody talk about your work, and I must salute you again on this. But let's talk me through what happens next in this process, and then I want to talk about generally people who are feeling the way they're feeling. Absolutely. So you met her. They call you and tell you there's somebody here you need to see.
Well, actually, the story began the night before. At the same time, the person she speaks of actually messaged me. They were in contact with me during the entire time, and so she told me about what was happening, and I walked her through the process of how she should advise her. And that just so happened, the good Lord had it that I was working the next day.
Wow.
And so we orchestrated a plan that she and I would meet, where I would then go ahead and provide the interventions needed to help her. Give her the much needed assistance that she needed. So everything was orchestrated from the night before. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No.
But I am very grateful that the person who reached out to her and then informed me, and I was able to give them the advice that was needed so that she could get the help that she got. And I can say, Clint, this is not the same person I met that Saturday. Totally different. And this is what gives us great joy in knowing the work that we're doing is bringing help to people who truly need it.
What was the process like to get her to the place where she can sit here and talk about her story and recognize that she can overcome it?
Certainly. So it's a multifactorial process. The first thing I want to share with the Bahamian population is that whole medical clearance process is vital. When we ask you to come in to be checked by the A&E officer to make sure that they give blood so that we can check and make sure that everything is okay. You cannot omit that process.
Because a lot of people say, well, what do I have to do? I ain't physically ill. What does it have to do with what I'm going through?
Sure.
But that's a part of the process.
And let me explain to you why that was so important in Aisha's case, because her hemoglobin level was drastically low. So she at the time was suffering from a severe iron deficiency anemia, which can certainly even make the depression worse.
Oh, wow.
So in addition to having all of the other signs and symptoms that would be indicative of major depression, she was dealing with the anemia, which was causing her to feel tired. having lack of energy, can't concentrate, not being able to focus. And so once we recognize that, we explained to her the importance now of us working on that. And one of the things that I found most astonishing, based upon what the friend shared with me, was that she wanted to end her life. And not only that, she was thinking about taking her little girl with her. And so that brought back a flood of memories from 2015 with a young lady who took her life and her 2 children.
Correct.
At Montague. So I was like, oh God, we can't have this happening. And so when I heard all of that, I was able to more or less explain the process of what she was going through and could assure her that she would be okay, provided she take my recommendations.
Is this something that can be treated by counseling mainly, predominantly, or does it require medication?
So when we treat persons who are battling any kind of mental illness, and again, that is why it's so important that we break the stigma that so many people have about mental health. But I digress. So we take a biopsychosocial approach and even a spiritual approach to dealing with it.
Right.
So the biological component has to do with the pharmacotherapy. Some persons may need it. In Aisha's case, she did need it, all right? More so for the anemia, as well as to help her with her sleeping, because she had not been sleeping for such
And that's
a long period of
important.
time. Put you and I, who may not consider her to have a mental illness, and a situation where we don't sleep for 3-4 days, we will start to feel terrible. We will start to feel ill. Okay, so yes, it was much warranted. And then the psychological component, she shared with me a lot of the issues she was dealing with, being a single mom, stressful work environment, so on and so forth. So we needed to address that. And socially, there were some issues too that she needed help. And it was just so happened that in the plan that I orchestrated for her would have allowed her to get the psychological and the social part of her needs addressed. And then there's the spiritual component. She mentions that she does believe in God, and so we needed to have the assurance that, you know what, God has not forgotten you. He wants you to live. Suicide is never the answer. It's only a permanent solution to temporary problems, which in the end does not make sense.
Does her therapy continue for how long? For a lifetime? Or does she get to a place where she can manage on her own now and can begin to do this on her own?
Well, certainly. So with the psychologists, they will be, she's meeting with them periodically, and so they will make that determination of how soon her therapy, at least the formal sessions, can end. Certainly, I want her to always have that avenue open where she feels that, you know what, I'm starting to feel a certain kind of way. And so that avenue will always be open for her to have her, psychological needs met. And so it's up to the psychologist, but at the same time, I also want to think that it's even a lifelong process. As long as you're alive, you're going to be in a cycle of up and down. That's life.
True.
And so when you feel that you reach a breaking point, that is when you want to reach out for help.
Aisha, why was it important for you to come forward and share your story and be so transparent with the country about what you've experienced?
Well, like Dr. Noel said, I didn't mention at the beginning, it was not just my life I was thinking about taking. It was my daughter's life as well. And my logic was I wasn't leaving her here for anyone to take care of. It would be best if we go together. And that when you think back on it, it's serious. It's serious that you would be to a place where you don't want to live, but you don't want your child to live either. And that was important for me to get my thinking together, like to get all of this together. And even in the post that I wrote, I don't even remember what I wrote, right? People commented and said that, go and get delivered and go and let someone lay hands on you and you'll be fine. But I'm going to tell them today, I have rolled over. I have fell out. My weave is gone off.
You've done all that.
I've done everything, and if I could have gotten what I needed through that process, and I do believe in God, I do strongly believe in God, but I believe God give men like him wisdom, the doctors wisdom to do what they need to do. And I don't negate the fact that God is real, but he has given them wisdom to help us. And so that's very important. And I need the Bahamian people to know that that's important as well.
We're going to wrap up where we've right after this. Stay close. You're watching Beyond the Headlines. For decades, the Bahamian people have been asking for the tough questions, and that's what we've committed to doing to them and for them. Ask them more of what they've been thinking all along, but not had the opportunity to ask themselves. That's what we do. That's who we are. We represent the Bahamian people. We provoke thought, we give analysis. At the end of the day, we're not afraid to ask the tough questions. So So do we have an agenda? Yes, we do. The Bahamian people, they're our agenda.
The woman either win $10,000 or $50,000. Jesus Christ!
It all comes down to this. Sebastian, CEO of Island Luck, is presently in the air.
Go up! Are you ready? And we got ourselves a winner right here. Let me bring out the leader of the woman there. $20,000. Well, my God.
Welcome back. We're closing out our discussion talking to Aisha Clare and Dr. Sean Knowles about mental health and really about suicide, Aisha being one who struggled with it. Did you ever thought in your life that you would ever come to a place contemplating suicide? Did you ever see yourself as being somebody who would do that?
Well, your family always teach you to keep it together.
Mm-hmm.
You keep it together. You can't let the world know what you're dealing with. And so even though I felt some type of way, I was never going to allow the world to know what I was dealing with. And it's so crazy, because we keep so much stuff bottled inside, and we are not getting or receiving the help that we need. And I was telling Dr. Knowles, I spoke out because I went to work and there was a semblance card. One of the cards was a semblance card, and it was revealed that that's where I went. And I felt some type of way about it. I thought it would have been more private, more, and I was like, I'm the best person to tell my story. So seeing that it's out, let me put the icing and everything on the cake for you so you can know exactly.
Because of course that stigma exists. So again,
Yes.
they see the card and they say, oh, the teacher, she going crazy. She
Yes.
it becomes an issue again.
Yeah, so that was important.
And Dr. Knowles, I want you to address that because that is impacting, I'm sure, so many people
It is.
from coming forward and getting the help because they're afraid of what people, particularly in their work environments or their families, will say about the fact that they went to a mental institution to get assistance.
Right. Yes. So certainly, Clint, that is something as a battle I personally fight almost on a daily basis. And I want people to understand, just as if your pancreas is not working properly, you end up developing diabetes. The same is with the mind. Why do people feel that the mind is immune to any kind of insult and at some points not being able to function properly? So we really need to do away with the stigma because it's causing more harm than good. The World Health has postulated that by next year, 2020, in a few months, that depression is going to be the number 2 disease.
Wow.
Major depression disorder globally after heart disease. By 2030, it's going to be number 1. And so with the increase in persons suffering from major depression disorder, you're going to see more people trying to take their lives. And so this is a public health issue that we must address, all hands on board. And I kind of also want to talk about in terms of churches with the philosophy or the idea that persons can just be delivered by laying of hands. Not every mental illness is due to demonic possession.
Exactly.
And people are perishing because of lack of knowledge. All right?
Yeah.
And I would expect more persons to be aware of that because of the fact that persons may have mental illness. You should refer them to somebody whom, if you want to say God has allowed to have the expertise and the knowledge to provide that person with the help that they need. And so that's doing more harm than good. And I really want to encourage clergymen and persons within the ministries to be in tune with somebody who's coming to them for help and to realize that not everything has to do with demonic possession. Refer that person to the right institution who can provide the help that they need, especially if it's major depression or any other type of mental illness that we see on a daily basis whom people are battling.
There's so many people in this country in that place. I just this morning coming to work, a friend of mine was sending me a voice note from somebody in Grand Bahama again, because in Grand Bahama they're there by the piles. Because of the economic situation there, of a mother saying, I just need something to eat. Even if it's criminal week for my child and me. We haven't eaten in days. Can you help me? I don't know where else to go to. Another one talked about a situation with a mother with 2 kids in a cart, and she was just on the road crying. And a woman stopped and said, what's the problem? She said, I don't know where to go, where to eat. I don't know what to do, and it's me and my 2 children. And I'm thinking about there's so many Bahamians in this country that are in deep depression, a place where they're questioning whether they need to continue to live, and we're not getting the help that they need. And I'm even wondering whether your institution has the capacity, the amount of people that needs the help, whether you have the capacity to even deal with the amount of Bahamians, because there are so many Bahamians who are smiling and acting as if things are normal. Things ain't normal. Things ain't normal. They can't meet tomorrow's payment. They don't have funds. They can't take care of their children. They go into emotional distress with relationships, and they're too embarrassed to speak out.
Yeah, absolutely, Clint. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I have so much I can say about it, but I want us as a nation to be our brothers and sisters keepers. When you're in a position to help. Confidentiality is important.
Yeah.
That is very disturbing to me. The fact, for example, that persons can take their cameras and record someone who has a mental illness and send it out virally. That should be made a criminal offense. I'm very strong about that. It's terrible. It shows a pathology that we're dealing with in terms of how we treat one another. My advice definitely, and I'm always concerned about the family islands, resources are very limited there, is to go to the physician that's there, the clinic that's there on the island. They know how to get that person to us here in New Providence at Sandilands, or be it at the community counseling and assessment center on Collins Avenue, where we can go ahead and get the person the help that they need. The church needs to play an active role in terms of helping people. If they come to them, again, refer them to the necessary resources who can provide the help for them. And of course, we have the schools and even the hospitals, as in the Rand Memorial Hospital and even Princess Margaret Hospital. Refer the persons to us so that we can help. All hands on board, we can deal with this problem in a very efficient manner so people can get the help that they need.
And Aisha, thank God for people like you who are willing to come out and talk, because you look like everybody else. And so sometimes when people see somebody they can identify and talk to, it helps to get the message out that, okay, well, if she could get help, then I can get help as well. And so thank you for coming forward and sharing it. And hopefully more people like you will be able to reach so many other people by saying, listen, don't think you can handle it. Get the help, and be a referral to be able to save lives for so many people. I salute you today for coming on and talking about it. And thank you, and continue all the best for you as you continue to become stronger and to get the word out. Thank you. We need more people like you to be able to get the word out. Thank you both for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure, awesome.
And that is our show. Thanks so much for joining us. On behalf of all of us, I'm Clint Watson saying good night.
They say time flies when you're having fun, but can you believe it's been 1 year since Eyewitness News made its debut? We're the new news standard, and to show our appreciation for your support, we're having a week-long celebration. We'll highlight some of the best moments in news since 2018. We take the fun to the streets of the capital on Saturday at 11 a.m. with an exciting float parade. Come out to see the country's top news reporters as we spread the love. And then join us at R.M. Bailey Park, where the float parade will culminate at 2 p.m. There will be 20 exciting pop-up vendors for you to enjoy sweet treats and so much more. And then on Sunday, we invite you to celebrate with us at our anniversary church service to be held at Trinity Assembly City of Praise. It's our 1-year anniversary, and we want you to celebrate with us.